I honestly think that I need to start a petition to stop Iko Uwais from being mistreated in Hollywood feature films. He is one of the most amazing action stars out there, and no one knows how to use him properly. I don't understand.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
Fuck it.
First things first.
Holy shit.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to my channel and time for another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, Stallone and Statham are getting some of the gang back together for more explosions and violence galore in Expend4bles. I am not calling it the Expendables 4, that is not its title. After a mission to stop a maniacal mercenary stealing plutonium fails, the Expendables are left fractured. It's up to faces old and new to band together and roll out one more time to stop the world from falling into disarray and the threat of impending nuclear war. A premise that sounds simple enough for an Expendables movie, and a series that just in general has survived by being good enough. The first Expendables was a mess, speaking truthfully, but it has always been a guilty pleasure of mine as a hokey throw-up to 80s, 90s classic action flicks. Now, the second Expendables really found its groove, though. It fully embraced the ridiculousness of its premise, and it was much better directed, and how could any action fans not geek out as Rambo, the Terminator, John McClane, and Chuck fucking Norris blow a place to bits. As for the Expendables 3, it was a dip in quality. The bizarre choice was made to ditch the R rating, which meant that we lost the excessive violence and opted for PG-13 action where everything was implied instead. It wasn't a terrible movie, but it was a notable step down. And now, 9 years after their last adventure, they're back with Expend4bles. Oh, how I wish that they had left it at 3. The first Expendables was directed by Sylvester Stallone, a dab hand at making action movies. Expendables 2 was directed by Simon West, who had previously made quite the beloved action classic, Con Air. And then you have the Expendables 3, which was directed by Patrick Hughes, who you may later know have gone on to direct films like The Hitman's Bodyguard, but he also directed a really popular indie western movie that was called Red Hill, and he garnered a lot of acclaim and attention from action aficionados because of that film. So in some way or another, you had pedigree talent behind these Expendables movies. And then there's Expend4bles, which is directed by Scott Waugh, director of the critically acclaimed Hidden Strike, which stars Jackie Chan and John Cena, and Need for Speed. Expend4bles is a colossal waste of your time and money. It starts out by making the biggest boneheaded, ridiculous decision it possibly could, and continues to do so. Sure, the previous Expendables movies were never considered to be high art, but for all of their flaws, they always knew exactly what they needed to be. Throwbacks to a classic age of action that managed to pull off the impossible and get a bunch of veteran action stars on screen together. Expend4bles is the equivalent of being advertised and sold on the fact that you're getting to see a long-awaited reunion of a band that you were a big fan of when you were younger. And then it's only when you rock up at the concert and then you realize that it's just one member who has decided to go solo. This film is not an Expendables movie. I want to make that crystal clear. This is a Jason Statham action movie. 100%. And unfortunately, it's one of those Jason Statham action movies that he very clearly has no interest in being in. Story-wise, it's a shambles, frequently losing any sense of pace, logic, motivation. If you try and follow this story, or you for some reason decide that you're going to pay attention, or at worst, care, then I'm really sorry, but you are going to end up zombified. Now the action, this is why we come to films like Expend4bles. Except the action sucks. Flitting between rapid editing and poor framing, Waugh totally wastes the talented action stars he has at his disposal. Like, surely it can't be that hard to put Uwais and Tony Jaa in a room and say, look guys, I want you to put together a really badass fight. We're gonna film it, but you do you. But it never happens. Waugh never pulls the pin on that. Why? Why wouldn't you? There is one decent action sequences that takes place between Statham and Uwais. It's good. It's a good fight scene. But I'm really sorry. When you've got a talented list of cast members like you have here, and the best result that you can muster up for your entire movie is one fight scene that is just good, then my god, you have messed up drastically. Because the rest of the action is bloated, repetitive havoc that is filmed on some of the most god-awful green screen with terrible CGI. Unexcusably bad visual effects here. Look, as for performances, Jason Statham is your lead in this movie, and it's a project that he can do in his sleep, which is why he looks as if he's dozing through most of the film. Dolph Lundgren and Sylvester Stallone do have a couple of quips of how old age is setting in, but not even they can manage to lift this material from the trash heap. 50 Cent, I mean, he mumbles through most of his lines and often stares into the distance with an expressionless look across his face, which then the movie decides, oh yeah, we'll linger on that shot because it means so much. And as I've already said, Uwais and Tony Jaa are sorely misused. And as for Megan Fox, my parents raised me on the belief that if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. So having been an admirer of the Expendables series up until this point, I can safely say that Expend4bles has completely decimated any affection I have for this franchise moving forward. Totally ambivalent to what made it entertaining in the first place, Scott Waugh has churned out a terribly paced, sloppily edited action movie that not even the cast bother to redeem. There's an extended scene where Randy Couture's character pisses on a wall, and it couldn't be a more appropriate metaphor for this film. I'm going to give Expend4bles a 3 out of 10. Anyway guys, those were my thoughts on Expend4bles. Let me know, have you had the chance to see the film yet? What did you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And my question to you, well, it isn't a question as such, that I just want you to rank the Expendable movies from best to worst in your opinion. I think me personally will start out at the worst with Expend4bles, then I'll probably have Expendables 3, and number 2 will have The Expendables, and I still think the best one, because I feel like it understood its concept and premise the most, is The Expendables 2. But that is all the time for we have today, so thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Hello, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure to click that like button, and if you aren't already, click that subscribe button too.